we all know that you actually can't fish 1,000 days. But if you click that, I'm here to explain how I get 1,000 plus days knowledge a year, how it's really helped me in my guide career and my personal fishing, and I just hope to share that with you. If you're new here, this channel is about trout. We cover things about trout. And my name is James Garrettson. I'm the owner and operator of the About Trout guide service on the old San Juan River. So let's talk about it. In the business world, there's a concept of a mastermind. And a mastermind, if you're not familiar, is where people get together to support their peers, brainstorm ideas, hold each other accountable, and just talk about best practices within their industry. Much like the business world, we might not be talking about our stock portfolios or Q2, Q3 projections, but we are talking about what we do, and that's being a fishing guide. Being a fishing guide, contrary to popular belief, isn't just about putting X fish in the net every day. There's some subtleties behind it, and we can go behind the scenes on that. And I want to share with you how all the wonderful guides that have been nice to me on the San Juan have really helped me as a guide out there. I got to give them so much credit. You know who you are, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without you guys. So I really, really appreciate it. But whether you're a guide or you're fishing for fun, I think a mastermind is something really, really important to your success on the river, and it can really kill that learning curve. You also want to make sure, you put in what you get out, or you get out what you put in. But make sure, too, that you're not just taking information, but giving information to the newer anglers that are coming in behind you. Just makes the world a better place. Put a smile on your face. I flipped that Vitamin C song. Some of the people watching this won't know what that is, but shout out Vitamin C. What a mastermind has allowed me to do is fish 1,000 plus days a year by comparing notes with other guides that are on the river 250 plus days. I put about 250 plus days on the river with guiding and personal fishing. Last year I guided over 200 days, and I think I did put 50 something fun days on the river. I have a family, I have other obligations, I can't be out there all the time. There's more important things than trout fishing, believe it or not, but I love it. I absolutely love being a fishing guide, and I love fishing personally. Even day to day, hour to hour, the river can change if you're the first boat or the last boat. So having friends that are having eyes on the river is absolutely crucial. Recently, I was away from the river for a couple days, and it sometimes feels like an eternity. I was at the Denver Fly Fishing Show, and I was able to call some buddies. They could get me back up to speed on what's going on, and those little subtle things will go miles. As guides, we really like to talk about opportunities, right? Again, it's not just putting X in the boat. There's a balance, right, between customer satisfaction, being the entertainer, being the cheerleader, educating, being the teacher, and then producing fish. It is kind of a touchy subject to talk about, but there is an expectation when you're in the middle seat of that boat. People didn't necessarily pay to just look at ospreys and see all the amazing things out there. They do want to catch fish. And as guides, we want to be able to create that opportunity. I want to make sure that somebody's having fun, not in a discouraging way. And if they're struggling as a newer angler, I want to be able to look them in the face and say, hey, it's okay, we got this. There'll be another fish. You'll get the next one. And having that positive attitude really helps. So a lot of our conversations and kind of our mastermind revolve around that. And the way that guides talk to each other might not necessarily be what you think. A lot of it's going to focus on time of day, location, depth in the water column, particularly for our river, things that you're seeing, trends that you're noticing. Flies are probably going to be the last part of that conversation. And things change out there all the time, so it's really good to be able to know what the river looks like with 1 or 2 phone calls. If you're fishing for fun, you probably have friends that can fish more than you do, or maybe you're that friend, and that can really be a huge aid, helping your friend group, killing the learning curve on the river. You're getting little tidbits, comparing notes. So again, I can't stress the importance of this concept of a mastermind. On top of that, getting to talk to guides that have been guiding for longer than I've been alive. I'm 33. You know, what happens in this scenario? What happens if I have someone, you know, that's really having a hard time with a hook set? How have you dealt with that? Do you like to pull the boat over or do this? Do you like to tuck the rod in their sleeve? There's these little things where we can become better teachers as fishing guides, and I don't think people get to see that side a lot of guides. You know, there's kind of a negative image, I think, out there. But there's so many great people out there that want to make sure you have your best days on the water. So a lot of the stuff, besides the obvious fishing stuff that I chat with, is, you know, customer relations, customer service, what happens in this scenario, you know, how do you like to teach this, you know, especially when we start to get into things like dry fly fishing, or if I have someone that wants to do that. Again, I can tap back into that mastermind. Hey, where did you see risers the other day? I only saw them here and here. Was there another hatch that I missed? You know, that can allow me to present the most opportunities to the customers in my boat and make sure they have just a great day on the water. Flip side of that coin, my friends can call me and I can get them tapped into the things that I saw or the techniques that fished well for me, what didn't work, which, you know, really, really helpful out there. The other thing is just being held accountable. You know, I mean, the other day I had a piece of safety equipment in the boat. You know, there's what you're mandated to have, of course, and then there's little extra things. And a conversation came up that one of my buddies was like, hey, you don't have this? I'm like, I don't. That made me think, you know, I could level up in that way. You know, being accountable for things like picking up trash on the river. We just did a river cleanup. You know, guides from different outfitters all came together to make sure that we're stewards of the resource. So that was a really beautiful thing. And then also, you know, kind of ethic practices as well. You know, you don't fish to spawning fish. Maybe don't do X or Y. Maybe don't throw a certain type of rig, right? I mean, there's always going to be differing ideas and opinions, but it is nice to just have those open conversations with your buddies. You know, one thing as a fishing guide is that we tend to paint ourselves into a corner, and having that mastermind, and even as a solo angler, you tend to just gravitate to what you know, and it's really hard to break out of that box, right? And we're very guilty of that as fishing guides as well, where, you know, I have success with this half a dozen patterns, these rigging types, this streamer, this dry fly. So it's really, really cool to be able to talk to somebody, even newer guides, you know, even just private anglers fishing on their own, just having that information exchange. You know, I've learned so much that has broken me out of that mental box and made me a better angler and a better guide. Challenging myself to fish differently than I do every year. They fish different places, different ways in different parts of the country. You know, when I went to California, my buddy Luke showed me, you know, this whole knot mending thing, which, you know, has really changed the way I fished on certain sections of the river, and it made sense. You know, when I went up to California, I showed him, you know, some of the ways that I like to Euro nymph out of a boat, and it's just really great when guides can come together and learn from each other. So it's really just a really cool, healthy ecosystem, and I encourage you to do that, you know, with your friends as well. But that's pretty much it. That's how I fish over 1,000 days a year. I talk to other professionals that do it, and I have guide friends in California, Colorado, New Mexico, the East Coast, and it just keeps the opinions diverse, the information flow diverse, and it keeps, you know, it keeps me accountable and helps me to put out the best days on the water that I can. Get together with your friends, talk some fly fishing, get a new angler into the sport, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Shout out to all the guys out there on the San Juan that have really taken me under their wing over the last couple of years and helped me. That's been absolutely invaluable. I hope on the other end I was helpful too. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. One love.